Hey guys, Cooled Up here, and today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to disassemble PS4 controllers. So this is pretty simple. You're only going to need a few tools. I'm replacing my shell with a gold shell. It's going to look really nice when it's done. So the first thing we're going to want to do is turn the controller over, and there's going to be 4 screws, 2 here and 2 here. So you're going to want to take a flathead screwdriver and unscrew these. These screws are pretty small, they're not giant screws, so I think regular screwdrivers would work. You don't need any special torques like the Xbox controllers. I also just want to mention, guys, these screws are really small. You might need not just a regular screwdriver, you might need a small screwdriver set. You can see them at like Jewel Osco or Target or whatever. They're pretty cheap, but I think you guys will need one for this. So I recommend going out and buying some really small screwdrivers. So you can see I just took out the screws, guys. You're going to want to find a safe place to put these in, maybe a bag or a magnetic screw tray. I'm going to put them in a small box, or actually, I'm just going to put them over here. It should be safe. So now you just want to take a razor blade maybe, or some other kind of blade, and pry along the edge a little bit. A flathead screwdriver won't do it because the seam is too thick or too tight. So just go along the edge here and wiggle your way in. This should work. Make sure you're not scratching the controller shell, but if you are replacing the shell, it shouldn't really matter. So then you should be able to get your finger or flathead in there, and you should be able to pry up a little bit. You want to work your way down to these thumbsticks. So there we go. You can see I just cracked it open. These things are, the shells are like sealed with glue because they don't want you going inside here and messing with your controller. But we're not doing that. And the first thing you guys are going to be prompted with when you take apart your controller, and this is really serious, guys, there's going to be a ribbon cable right here. Do not cut this. If you cut this, your PS4 controller, you can just throw it out because it's broken now. You need to keep this. You need to save this. So what you're going to do is there should be a little blue tab right here. Let me zoom in. So there's a blue tab. What you're going to want to do is take your fingers and just pull it out. I would actually recommend using a pair of tweezers. So I'm just going to take the tweezers and pull. It looks like tweezers won't work, so just pull up on the cable. Do not damage anything on the board. And then we're going to get 2 halves. We're going to get this half, and we're going to get this half. So that we're gonna start with this half later. Put that aside, and now we're gonna work on this side. And this side we're just gonna be replacing the light panel. We're gonna get the light panel off and the actual circuit board right here, and we're gonna put that on to the bottom of our new shell right here. Now for this back part, this is the light bar on the PS4 controller. This thing's pretty cool. Actually, this right here is the LED, and this, I guess it just it magnifies the color, I guess. It's kind of hard to explain, but there are no LEDs here. This is just a shield. This is the LED. So the first thing we're going to do is take a flathead screwdriver, and we're just going to pry up on this plastic part a little bit, and then it should all fall out. So this is your little protector bar, I guess. This is the light bar. It doesn't matter if you rip this plastic foam or whatever. Try not to tear it off completely. And then we're going to be left with these 2 screws, and you're just going to want to unscrew these. I think it's the same bit as it was to unscrew the screws on the outside of the controller. So just unscrew this one. Unscrew this one too, and then this entire assembly should just come out. Looks like it's actually taped, kind of. Taped to the inside. Okay, so just pull that off. This is the little charging port. It goes right here. So be careful with that. So once these parts are all out, this is it for the shell. You don't need to keep this. Oops, hit my camera. And yeah, you can probably throw this out if you want. I'm just going to set it down. These parts you do need to keep though if you're going to be putting a new shell on, so I'm just going to put these off to the side. So now here we have the interior shell, or the main part of the controller. This is our battery, and first I just want to warn you guys, there's a reset button somewhere here. Be really careful. If you lose that, you're screwed, because then you don't have a reset button anymore. Either way, you're just going to want to pull the battery plug out. It's not pulling it out permanently, but it's really dangerous to work on this with the battery power still in, so keep this, put it aside, and then now we can actually work on the controller. So this right here are the rumbler motors, right here on the sides. These are connected, so don't pull those out. Be really careful. It looks like the connections are pretty shitty on this one, so you have to be careful. And then there should be one screw right here. You just want to undo this one. So here I just pulled the screw out. I'm comparing it with the screw from the shell. They look to be the same. They aren't the same though. They look pretty close, so make sure you keep this one separate from the others. And then we should be able to lift this up. And yes, this is just going to snap off like that. The reset button is right here. So then once this comes off, you need to keep this, just put that aside. Right here is a ribbon cable. You're going to need to remove that before you can lift up the shell further. So for that, again, tweezers or your finger, that'd probably work better. And then you can lift this up, and you can see it's attached to the motor still. If you want to remove the motors, I think you're going to have to... Oh, no, okay. So there's actually two parts to the shell. You can see there's the inner shell and the outer shell. So when you lift this up... Okay, so you want to lift this up, like so. And then your touchpad should come out with it. Make sure you don't pull the cord on that one. Let's just put that aside for now. So here actually my trigger fell off. That's not a problem, though. We can always fix that. So this we can put aside. These are just our buttons. Make sure you don't turn this upside down because your buttons will fall out and it'll just be a mess. Right here, this is all of the circuitry, components, all that stuff. So I'm just going to put my trigger back on right here. So I just put the trigger in. I might do a separate video on that if you want to see how. But let's just finish off the controller. So right here, this is our touchpad. If you want to, this part's actually hooked on. You want to take some tweezers and pull it out a little bit, so that way the blue part will slip underneath. This is your touchpad. And I don't really know much about these touchpads. I have an Xbox One. This controller is actually for a friend, so keep this. And here is the other part of the controller. This you can keep. You won't need to change or anything when you're replacing the shell because this is all part of the controller. So let's just put that aside. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to install the bottom, like the light stuff, the light pad, onto the bottom shell of our nice old controller shell. So let's do that. The first thing we're going to do is take this. This is the actual chip that has the LED in it. You're just going to take this and stick it right here. So we're just going to stick one screw in like that. And take our screwdriver and put this first one in. So once we have that first one, you want to take this shell right here. Actually, take this light bar first. Put it in. Now we're just going to take put the other screw in first. Once you have the light bar in, you just want to take this, put it on the end, and then it should screw in pretty easily. Okay, so once everything's screwed together, it doesn't need to be extremely tight. You know, don't tighten it all the way; it will break your controller because of all the stress. And so now we're just going to take this and line it up with these two holes in the back, like so. And this part, you're going to want to fit over like this. Take our front part of the controller. So the first thing I want to actually do is take the buttons from this controller and we're going to put them into this controller. So right here, you're just going to remove this little rubber plate. I don't think when you order other controllers it comes with it, so make sure you don't throw these out from your original controller. And this one should go over here. And then when you take these buttons out, you should take the D-pad or the buttons out first, or this thing out first, and then you're also going to get these little the reset and options button. Keep these, and then you can eventually just dump everything out. Make sure you pick up any buttons that fell, and let's just put on a pile right here. And this PlayStation button, that's going to come out. So once you removed it from your first shell, you can actually just take this and put them back into where the spots correspond to. So I don't really know the PlayStation 4 button layout, so I might have to go look that up really quickly. So once you have the buttons in, you're just going to take these pads and put them over. There should be little holes that they correspond to, and you just want to put that over and press down so they stay. Same thing with this side. And the home button as well. So now we should have a pretty nice looking controller so far. Don't push on any of these buttons, they're just going to fall out. One thing you can do, and you should do, is with your finger underneath the pads, push down on the buttons to make sure they're all smooth, because sometimes I know on the 360 controllers these buttons were really loose and they didn't feel good when you push down on them. So as long as they feel pretty smooth, you're good to go. So take these parts and put them in like that. They should hold on. And once that's done, we're gonna take the actual controller shell, or the actual controller circuit board and stuff, and we're gonna replace that. So if you want to change out your joysticks, make sure you do that now before you seal it back up, because once you put them back on, you won't be able to change the joysticks. So the first thing, or the next thing we're going to want to do, is take the D-pad, or sorry, not D-pad, the swipe thing, whatever it's called, and you just want to stick it under here, and try to get these little buttons inside. You're basically just trying to get it so that way it's hooked around like it was on the regular controller. So I just figured out the easiest way to install this smart pad is you hook it underneath like this from the inside of the controller, and while holding it from up here, push down so it's firm, and then that should look perfect. It should get it done quick and easy. And then you just want to put these buttons back in. They fell out while I was unscrewing, while I was putting the smart pad in. So once that's on, you just want to take this, and we're going to take the little joystick part, and we're going to put it in, I wait, I think this is upside down. So now we're gonna take this and make sure the joysticks are down, facing down, and we'll take, make sure everything's still intact, and okay, looks like we're good. So take this and put it in like that, and then you just want to feed that through. Now this actually, the blue ribbon table actually needs to go underneath this little hole right here. So take that, pull it through, and then when installing these things back in, you just grab the blue part, and here you should be able to lift this up actually. So lift this up, then here I actually realized that my camera wasn't in focus, so you see there's actually a little gray part right here. You want to lift that up and take this and slide it in like that. Then close it. And then you're good to go. So once you've got that, now you're going to want to take your battery pack, and we're just going to put this down like that. Take our screw that was holding everything, and you just want to make sure everything's tight, and put this screw right here. It's going to take some configuration. Oops. There we go. So once that's in, we're going to take this part now, or actually take your battery first, and actually it might help to take some double-sided tape. I'm actually going to do that. So I'm just going to take some electrical tape and permanently tape this down. It's not a flaw or anything with the controller when it was originally designed, but when we're installing the light pad and stuff, it's going to be really hard if that battery keeps falling out. So I'm going to do this now. So once that's in, you should be able to play with your buttons and stuff. So now we're going to take this part of the controller, and we're just going to put it over. Oh shit. Okay, so now we're going to take this part of the controller and very carefully take this and feed the blue cable, or the blue ribbon cable, back into this slot for it. Okay, so once that's in, we're just going to take this and hold this part like that, upside down. Oh, you can see the controller's already lighting up. That means we got it to work. Everything's working fine. Take this and just drop it in like that. And then you want to take it, hold it upside down. Oh my god. So once you have the light bar fixed, I actually already did this with the left side. You want to take the right controller and just force it in there like that. And then everything should just press down all together. From here on out, your controller's done. All you need to do is work out little flaws and stuff with the shell, and that varies from controller to controller. So you can see, guys, I just finished assembling the PS4 controller. I just finished fine-tuning it, screwing everything in. It works beautifully. You can see it's really awesome. Everything feels tight. The buttons are all smooth, minus the fact that these two buttons up here are really bad actually. I don't know, these top buttons are always fucked up, but those aren't really important buttons. I mean, if you really want them to work, I guess you could always file them down, but whatever. Everything works fine, everything works great, and yeah, that's how you assemble, disassemble a PS4 controller. I'm just going to put some control freaks on here, and there we go. That's my PS4 controller, guys. Thanks for watching. If you want to see some more console stuff, hit me up in the comment section below. Leave some suggestions, and comment, rate, subscribe. Thanks for watching, everybody.